Hello, welcome back. So you all should have just looked over this chart either with a buddy or by yourself. And so hopefully hand washing and movement, hand washing should reduce the transmission rate. And then movement is the amount of speed, how fast they're moving around the simulation. So in what ways do just changing these variables change the program? As we can see, movement, as we explained before, is how fast they're moving and how much they're interacting. And then hand washing would affect the transmission rate or how the virus spreads. So the more you hand wash, the lower the transmission rate and vice versa. And then so what part of the code should be affected by this variable? As you know, movement, it's already there, and then we'll get to hand washing. And then for percentages, we have initial, transmission, and recovery rate. The initial rate would be when this simulation starts, how many people are going to start out with the virus. Transmission rate is when they come in contact with each other. What's the percentage that the virus will spread between the two people? And then the recovery rate is what's the percentage that they will recover or keep their or stay infected. So how can we use a blocks to create percentage? We'll come back to that question. And in what conditions would you switch costumes based on these race? We'll also come back. And then infected, recovered, and susceptible. You have the virus if you're infected. If you recovered, that means you're either dead or no longer have the virus. We do not have a specific thing for dead at the moment. You can try to build that in if you want. That could be a special challenge. And then susceptible is you don't have the virus and you haven't had it already. When should these variables change? And what code makes them change? And then the population instead of the beginning doesn't change. Okay, so let's go over here now. I'm going to stop this. So the first thing we want to do is, let's start with infected. So I'm going to show you all how to do like 1.5 of the percentages. Let's see. And then for recovery, I'll let you all do that one on your own. So if we start with an initial rate, so that is not going to be in the forever because it's set at the beginning, and then that part is not going to run again. So we're going to use an if statement. So if and so this is where we're making the percentage. So how we're going to do that is, and if you have a different way that you want to try, go for it. But this is how I thought about it. So if pick random 1 to 100 is less than your initial rate, then, okay, so we have if pick random between 1 and 100 is less than your initial rate, then something will happen. So this is just saying right now our initial rate is let's say 20. So statistically, we should have about 10 people out of the 50, but the chance of it being perfect is low. So maybe I'll change that to 10. So, okay, so if pick random 1 to 10 is less than initial rate, then what we want is for the costume to change. So switch costume to infected. So if something is infected, that means we also have to change the variable. So you would change infected by +1, and then you would change susceptible by -1. So now you press the green flag. Some of them start as infected. I'm also going to show the infected, covered, susceptible. So for our second variable that I'm going to start with you guys, which you are going to finish, this is going to be the transmission rate. So transmission rate is a bit different because there are 3 factors to decide whether or not you should even consider doing. So there are 3 factors for transmission rate. The first factor is that it's touching, so that's going to be in sensing, touching the color red. That's the first factor. That's the only way the virus can spread. In my simulation, maybe with yours it's a bit different, but in my simulation, that's the only way the virus can spread. The second thing is that currently it's susceptible to the virus. So you can go in looks, and then if you do costume mix with operators, so you can either do costume number or costume name. Do costume name. Costume name is susceptible. So that's the second thing, has to be true. And then the third, for you to go from susceptible to infected, you have to do the percentage again. So those are our 3 conditions. And then we can put them all together, either using 2 ands or using 2 if statements. Once again, this is going to be in an if statement. So if touching color red. So you could either add another and statement here, or you can do like undoing. You just add another if statement inside of it. So then what needs to happen? So that's where I'm going to leave you guys with variables, and I'll see you guys again to work on our graphs.